Hello, everybody. Good morning. Good evening, everybody. I hope to thank MSERM Association for this opportunity to share our knowledge and our experience, and to thanks also Merck. Thank you, Mr. Jeddah. My talk is about male infertility. Okay, where are we going with the gene screening of male infertility? Infertility affects more than 70 million couples on the world. It's a common condition affecting at least 7% of men worldwide, and male factor contribute to over than 50% of all the cases. This heterogeneity of genetic cause of male infertility, chromosomal abnormality, Y chromosome microdeletion, monogenic disease, more than 100 genes involved in male infertility, and also there are some epigenetics alteration. Testing recommended by practice guideline. Genetics testing of the infertile male is recommended in specific condition. The American Society of Reproductive Medicine guidelines recommended performing karyotype and Y chromosome microdeletion in azoospermia and severe oligospermia men less than 5 million in spermogram. The European guideline recommended a karyotype for men with no obstructive azoospermia or oligospermia less than 10 million spermatozoa per ml. Chromosomal abnormality is the first cause in male infertility. The first cause was karyotype. Now, karyotype is recommended in men when secretory azoospermia or oligoazoospermia. If if recurrent pregnancy loss, birth of abnormal children, infertility, and also in IRT assessments. About 30% of patients with azoospermia have abnormal karyotype. The first abnormality in chromosomal is Klinefelter syndrome. Is the most common chromosomal disorder in men of no obstructive azoospermia, associated with hypergonadotrophic hypogonadism and infertility, and the frequency is higher, is 1/600. Another form of chromosomal abnormality is balanced translocation. They are the most common structural rearrangements. Individual affected by such translocation with failure of spermatogenesis because of the meiotic impairments, azoospermia or oligoasthenoteratospermia, and the consequence is recurrent pregnancy loss or a child with multiple congenital malformation. Another form of chromosomal abnormality is the dicentric Y chromosome with the consequence of azoospermia. Small supernumerary marker chromosome effect on spermatogenesis by producing mechanical perturbation during meiosis and increasing meiotic non-dejection rates, and the prevalence of the marker chromosomal is 3 times higher in patients with infertility. Microdeletion of the Y chromosome recommended in men if secretory azoospermia or severe oligospermia after normal karyotype, and there are region AZF, azoospermia factor, 3 region E, B, and C, and the prognosis factor is XC and microTZ. Region A, B are unfavorable, and AZFC deletion is favorable. The novo microdeletion, 30% of non-obstructive azoospermia and 6% of severe oligospermia. Umit Aber reported a paper with 1,300 male infertility. They explore the region AZFC, and they report after undergoing XC treatment, pregnancy and live birth outcome rates were found to be 37% and 25% respectively. And the genetic counseling here is very important in these cases because of the transmission of microdeletion of male offspring. CFTR gene pathology, 1 at 2% male infertility, 6% obstructive azoospermia. There are more than 1,300 mutation in CFTR genes. The most common mutation in CFTR is delta F508. And the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists recommended to do the screening of cytosis fibrosis must to be offered to all patients regardless of ethnicity by a minimum of 23 common mutation, recurrent mutation in CFTR genes. Now we'll talk about genes associated with characterized phenotype found in spermatocytogram. The first example is ORCA mutation associated with macrocephalic and multiflagellate spermatozoa. All the patients who had a typical phenotype with higher rates of large-headed spermatozoa were homozygote for this mutation, and this mutation was to be found in homozygote states with 86%. The effect of consanguinity in Morocco is about 13%, and they increase the incidence of autosomal recessive disorder, and the frequency of heterozygote here is 150, and the prevalence of homozygote in 1/3,000. A novel mutation identified by our moderator Monsef Ben Khalifa, donc identify a novel mutation in exon 6 to represent 30%. It's impossible to take home baby in male with this kind of mutation because of polyploid spermatozoa. XC is not recommended. Another form of characterized morphological spermatozoid, rounded-headed spermatozoa or globosospermia, affected 0.1% of infertile men, characterized by the presence of ungulata of rounded-headed spermatozoa. 4 genes are involved in this pathology. The DPY19L2 represents 60 to 83%. The prognosis is favorable, and the only fertility option in patients with 100% globosospermia is ICSI is the only option. And artificial oocyte activation has been proposed and like option for patients with complete globospermia undergoing ICSI. Acephalic spermatozoa, also known as pinhole spermatozoa, linked to SEN5 variant mutation of genes SEN5. Mutation caused acephalic spermatozoa in 50% in individual affected. Mutation in 3 novel candidate genes have been reported in a single patient. A genetic investigation of human population had made a remarkable advance in recent years, and with next generation sequencing, male infertility is more explored. The first male infertility gene are identified in the late of 1980, and after with the use massively of gene NGS approach has resulted in an increase in the detection of male infertility. Sanger sequencing was the predominant tools with 82% in 2010. Reduced usage at 26 in 2019, and NGS technology gained around to become currently the most common tools with 61%. Here, a family study of twin with severe astenospermia identified homogeneous SPAG17 mutation by whole genome sequencing. This is a new pathogenic gene causing astenospermia. A Chinese group exploring 668 Chinese patients with no obstructive azoospermia with next generation sequencing, and they report that targeted NGS panel sequencing could explain only 2.1% by panel 1 and 2.1% by panel 2 of the patient with no obstructive azoospermia after exclusion of karyotype abnormality and Y chromosome microdeletion. The author suggests that only a few genes that are directly linked to meiosis can indicate poor microdeletion prognosis, such TEX11, TEX14, and SYCE1. Another genomic approach to male infertility reported by NAIF in 2020. They investigate a group of male infertility, a group of patients of male infertility using exome sequencing in parallel with a standard practice of chromosome analysis, and they find that in 285 patients, 10% have evidence of chromosome aberration, and while nearly a quarter had just a potential monogenetic form of male infertility. And in systematic review of the validated of monogenic cause of human male infertility, 2020 update, Brandon report that identification of a total of 120 genes that were moderately, strongly, and definitively linked to 104 infertility phenotype and of the 120 genes listed, only about 25% are directly associated with male infertility, and they listed the gene between moderate, strong, and definitive. Back to question, where are we going with gene screening for male infertility? Although NGS methods are frequently used in research laboratory to study the genetic of male infertility, they have not yet been extensively employed in clinical genetic diagnosis. While karyotype abnormality and Y chromosome deletion and self-tear mutation have been strongly linked to non-obstructive azoospermia, severe oligospermia, and obstructive azoospermia, respectively. Currently, the NGS technology is not for diagnosis, but only for research at date. Finally, spermatocytogram plays